Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is Juan and Byte Club. This is also my review for NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3, which just concluded, and I seem to have this habit now of I see the lower thing letting me know that the show has concluded, and I have to ask myself, did it actually end? Or is something going to happen? And thankfully, the crowd was actually very, very welcoming, very warming, and letting me know, hey, somebody's coming out from the crowd. So, luckily, that really helped out. But I'm going to be doing my match by match review. This is also happening live at the YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com/Byte That Cast. You can also listen to us directly from Byte That Plus. So you can check out our podcast every Wednesday on Byte That on Apple Podcast and Stitcher and the website and on the YouTube channel. But you can also go to Byte That Plus on Apple Podcast and Stitcher to get everything else that we do, like reviews, discussion videos. We have something really cool happening regarding Shawn Michaels next week. And welcome everybody that is tuning in live on the YouTube channel. So without further ado, because I know you guys want me to talk about Adam Cole, baby, because he's officially not just rumored to be in NXT, but actually did show up. First things first, I have to say, a very eventful show. I truly had a great time watching this NXT show. I think that it like the previous ones has really shown that NXT is growing. NXT has definitely gotten out the rut that was left there after everybody got called up. You know, ever going back to like Sasha Banks and everybody else. I think it's been very enjoyable to really see what has been happening, and what better way to really open this than with a live performance and a video. You know, usually we get treated to these awesome video packages in wrestling and in WWE in particular, but here you actually have a live band playing as that package is going by, and I think that's something super cool. I don't remember the last time we got that in WWE. Maybe it happened in the past couple of years. I honestly don't remember, but I thought that was really, really good. Then we go to the opening match, which is Johnny Gargano versus Andrade, Cien, Almas. And this match, admittedly, it didn't have a lot of build-up for me. I think it was more so, let's get some of the hype, right, regarding Johnny Wrestling finally going into singles competition. And for those live, I'd love to know what you guys thought about each of the matches, and I'll make sure to also give that feedback to everybody that's going to be listening on the archive or on Byte That Plus. I was very happy with the way all of this match played out. I think it was an excellent opening match that was an indication that Andrade, he had a rough beginning in NXT, but really found his way, especially now with Zelina, and taking on somebody that's so likable in Johnny Wrestling. So Johnny Gargano was almost about to pick up that victory, but then due to the distraction with the t-shirt, Andrade got that sick DDT in for the victory. But I thought that the match had an excellent pace. I love that reverse tornado DDT he does, that inverted DDT he does from the corner. I didn't even know like that's a move that I thought I would like, but it was really, really enjoyable. Johnny Gargano, man, he gives me like a Daniel Bryan vibe. I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but from the crowd, the way the people love him, they love him not even as a babyface. They seem to love the person, and I mean that in the best way possible, because it was very similar like that with Daniel Bryan. Like the way that Daniel Bryan grew in wrestling was very much this organic, people are getting behind you because you seem like a legitimately good person. And I feel a lot of those elements with Johnny Wrestling. So the way that they concluded this match, it felt like it was a way to get that heat on Andrade Cien Almas, while you still make Johnny Gargano look like $1 million. So very happy with that. And people in the chat talking about NXT proves you don't need 80 matches for a card. Very true. If you look at the card of this show, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 matches is what usually happens at these takeover shows. And that is the exact same amount of matches that I think you should have. People talk about, why isn't Cassius Ohno on this show? Why isn't this and that? We complain on Raw that everybody's there. Yet in NXT, people complain not everybody's there. So we got to figure out, where are we really going to be sitting with this, right? So now let's go to the second match. That was the Tag Team Championship match. I was very surprised with this one. The Authors of Pain defending against Sanity. I liked how Sanity sort of did the swiping thing where it seemed like it was going to be Killing Dane and I should say Alexander Wolf teaming up, and then all of a sudden Killing Dane taking a nice break. But then it's actually EY who's going to be the second half of Sanity in this match. You know, they got everybody involved, though. So even though, for example, Nikki Cross wasn't in the match, she had one of the spots of the night when she dove outside to one of the members of the Authors of Pain, and then she basically got sandwiched through a table. So it wasn't a hardcore match, but they went all over the arena. So it was super enjoyable. And I think it makes a lot of sense that they do stuff like that with Sanity, Sanity and the Authors of Pain, because it seems like that's what those characters are, right? So it was really, really good. I will say Eric Young probably has one of the most beautiful elbow drops I have ever seen. He is so damn good with that. And welcome to everybody in the chat, including TJ Kinder, Ken Yo-Yo, Cynical Cypher, Champa, Tim Smith. I just want to quickly point out to everybody, thank you. Thank you for being part of the Byte Club. You know, these reviews, we do them because of you. The reason that I'm doing this one and Ryan's doing his tomorrow for SummerSlam is because we love to get your feedback. It's cool to talk about all this, but if we don't get those tweets, if we don't get those comments, like, this really is for nothing, because it's about building the community, not just talking in front of a microphone, because I like the sound of my voice, which remains to be another topic that will never be discussed. But then going back to this, yeah, Eric Young looked like $1 million as well. Rest in peace, Nikki Cross. I love that tag team move. I don't remember if they had done it before, where they did the back body drop into what was like a Dominator type move. The Authors of Pain did that, and that looked excellent. Like, these two guys are so young. I think people forget they are around 23 years old. Just put that into perspective. They are over 10 years younger than AJ Styles. Like, think about how good these guys will be in just a little bit of time. So then the actual conclusion happens. And what happens is that I did not think Sanity was going to win it all. I was thinking, okay, it's going to be a nice little match, but the Authors of Pain are going to keep going, because I was actually under the impression that Asuka was going to lose her championship. And then obviously I was way off, because the complete opposite thing happened on both ends. So we got this cool victory from Sanity. I will say I didn't mark out. I didn't feel overly pleased that happened, because I didn't feel like there was enough build up for that. But at the same time, it's cool when things like that happen, right? Let's see here. TJ Kinder writes, Juan gets the easy review. Yeah, Ryan unfortunately has to review a 20-hour show, so that's gonna really suck. They are 17 years younger than AJ Styles, writes TJ Kinder. So one of the benefits of having the live chat. Champa writes, Authors of Pain versus Sanity would have been a great 2 out of 3 falls match. You know what? Yeah, that would have actually been pretty good. Maybe this is the build up to a longer story. At the same time, what happens after this match, and then we'll get to this obviously at the main event, Red Dragon comes out, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. So after marking out at the fact that this is happening, then it leads me to ask myself, are the Authors of Pain done in NXT? Because the way that they already assume, hey, we're next up, that's either going to be a triangle tag team match, and then that is their way of, I guess, the Authors of Pain not getting pinned in the rematch, and then they move up on the main roster. I know I may be getting ahead of myself a little bit, but it does lead up. Like, where is this leading up to? I saw a tweet. You know, the NXT tag team division is definitely getting well built up. You have TM61 who's coming back. You now have the Authors of Pain. You know, Johnny Wrestling and Tommaso Ciampa, unfortunately, that broke off, but it's showing that you can build up one hell of a tag team division where anybody seems like a legitimate contender. Nick Morris writes, best takeover ever. I still don't think it's the best takeover ever. I think that the early ones still have a piece of magic that the new ones don't, but I will say, I enjoyed this show. I at no point was bored or discontent, so Red Dragon makes their debut as a team, and then Sanity become the tag team champions. So next up, we have Alistair Black versus Hideo Itami. Now, this was the match that I was thinking to myself, how do I feel about this? And I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how I felt about this because I think that Itami, whenever you guys seem to like get excited for him, he gets injured, right? So I wanted to be lukewarm about this in case something happened, and I was very surprised at how good that match was. Like, Alistair Black won that, but there was a fire that I hadn't seen from Itami in quite a while. Now, he did his heel turn, and he showed a lot of personality in this match, and the real thing that I want to say about it is personality doesn't mean yelling. It doesn't mean cutting epic promos. Like, you can say a lot by saying nothing or by barely changing your facial expressions. And Ken Yo-Yo writes, I wish Hideo never got injured. He lost a lot of steam. And people are saying in the chat that they love me. Hey, I love you guys. Apparently, my voice is hot. I'm not emotionally prepared to answer that with a legitimate response, but I had mentioned on Twitter that I wasn't feeling this, and I don't see great things happening for Itami, and I still stand by that. I still stand by the fact that Hideo Itami is going to be a great guy to put people over. He's going to have that great match, and then that person is going to move on to bigger, better things. I remember when Samoa Joe said that he was supposed to be basically an NXT exclusive talent, but he did so good that, they called him up. I think Itami is going to be an NXT exclusive talent. I don't see him getting called up to the main roster, but it was a very, very hard-hitting match. And Alistair Black, that guy looks like absolute gold. He's been so crisp and clean. Got his own entrance with the bland. I mean, some people tweeted that the band was a little bland. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a pretty cool thing to definitely, do something special for the takeover shows. And now we have what was maybe the main event before the main event. Like, a lot of people thought that Asuka versus Ember Moon should have main evented, given that Asuka is currently the longest reigning champion. Like, not women's champion, just champion as a whole. So I was not surprised that this didn't main event, but I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this match. Like the Black Itami match, I wasn't expecting much because, honestly, I haven't loved Asuka matches. Like the past ones, I get it. Her character is, I am really good and I'm going to beat everybody. But it's challenging to keep caring about that time and time again. But they were able to do something that was very good with this. I was actually surprised at how the crowd actually got behind Ember Moon, because I was thinking this is going to be a fully pro-Asuka crowd and they are going to just hate on Ember Moon. But you actually had the dual chance, let's go Ember, let's go Asuka. I think that the match itself was excellent. I think this is when Ember should have won. I'll say it right now. I'm not sure what they're going to do with this. First of all, the match itself, you got a kick out of the Eclipse. I think it's what Ember Moon calls it, the diving stunner that she does. Asuka kicked out of that, and I mean, that really sells the fact that Asuka is Asuka. She's just one badass machine, so it was really cool that she kicked out of that. And then we got that super kick combination, and I actually thought for a second that was going to be it. That was going to be the conclusion of the match. And it doesn't always need to be a finishing maneuver. It's nice when you get something that really surprises you. Some people are saying, is it a bad thing I can't get into Asuka? And some are saying the best Asuka match to date. I will say this is probably the Asuka match that I've been invested in the most. And I give a lot of credit to Ember Moon, who I've stated previously, I haven't cared about all that much. She is very solid in the ring. But if this leads to Kairi Sane, who's going to be making her way to WWE, possibly NXT, if this is leading to her beating Asuka, I'm like, dude, you've gone through Liv Morgan, through the Iconic team, through Ember Moon. How many people are you going to destroy just to make Kairi Sane good? There's a lot of talented women in that roster. You don't have to destroy everybody just to make one person up. That's messed up for me. So I hope that doesn't happen. Unfortunately, that seems to be the route that they're going to be taking. And now let's get to the main event, and that is Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre. And for context, I'll state that I thought it should have been Roderick Strong in this scenario. I see now why that wasn't the case, because I thought to myself, it doesn't matter who it's going to be. It's going to be Bobby Roode retaining. And I was wrong. So we have a brand new NXT champion in Drew McIntyre. I'm still analyzing that, because I actually thought that Drew was going to get called up to the roster maybe in a couple of months, which could still, that can still happen. Cool entrance, by the way. You had the bagpipes playing. I saw a lot of people tweet, it doesn't matter. Whenever you hear bagpipes in wrestling, you think about Roddy Piper. And admittedly so, like I did that too. I mean, Roddy Piper, rest in peace, a wrestling legend. And I think that either from now to like 100 years later, you will always think about the hot rod whenever you hear bagpipes in wrestling. And by the way, when I close this out, I'm seeing a couple of comments about some speculation. Definitely let me know, like, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to lead up after all these NXT TakeOver actions? I know that Triple H is doing a Facebook Live, which you guys have already probably heard if you're watching or listening to the archive of this. I'll make sure to check that out and then maybe tweet on Byte That Cast what I think about all of that. But getting to the match itself, I thought it was a very, very good match. I enjoyed it. I keep saying it, like Bobby Roode, he doesn't have like the match of the night, but he always has a damn solid match. And I'm trying to remember who was the last wrestler that I felt like that for. Like, he's never my match of the night, but I always look forward to his matches. They're not just passable. Like, they're definitely above average. They're very, very good matches, but not match of the night. Like, they're not the 6-star matches that maybe Dave Meltzer would rate, right? So going back to this match, I enjoyed. Bobby Roode has this thing at the TakeOver shows where he plays possum by just playing dead, right? And it's become part of his character, and I love that. It's the little details that tells you, I am a good champion, not just because I'm good in the ring, but because I'm also psychologically superior to you in the ring. And I think that right there is what sells you as a champion. And then when we go to the actual end, where he was going to go for the trifecta of the glorious DDTs, I thought that was over. I was honestly setting up my recording stuff for the review, and then Drew McIntyre actually nails that Claymore kick, that sick kick. So I can't really say sick kick as then Roddy has that, but he hits the Claymore. 1, 2, 3. We have ourselves a brand new NXT champion, and cool. Where does this leave Bobby Roode? I'm not sure, especially now that, much like the tag team scenario, I love how this has so many questions that remain to be answered. What happens when you become champion, but then Adam Cole makes his debut? He comes out, Red Dragon comes out, the crowd kind of spoiled it, but hey, that's not WWE's problem. They all attack him, but then Bobby Roode's still in there. So are they going to do maybe a triangle scenario here, and then Bobby Roode gets called up? Because are they going to do maybe what Raw's doing, which would not be a bad thing, which is let's not have 2 guys battling at the top for the NXT Championship. We can have 3 guys. We can have a stable. Maybe this leads to a Bobby Roode face turn, which honestly, I will say they should do. Like, if Bobby Roode is not going to get called up, I think Adam Cole should be the main heel in NXT now. And I think that Drew McIntyre, Roderick Strong, and Bobby Roode, those guys are going to take on the team of the Red Club, or the Red Dragon Club. I don't know what they're going to call themselves. Whatever the name is, they're probably going to make a cool shirt, and they're hoping it's going to match Bullet Club shirt sales. They're probably going to sell them at Hot Topic. It's not going to match. I think we need to accept that. So, yeah. And TJ Kinder writes, Roode and Cole are both heels, means no interaction. I would agree with that. The problem is that because NXT is a 1-hour show, is Roode maybe just going to take a backseat for a while? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time in NXT where a character just goes away for a while. And that's fine. Like, I actually enjoy when things like that happen. And there are still a lot of factors. Like Ciampa just commented, rest in peace, Cassius. People are saying, where's Cassius at? He's yet another person that you can add to the mix. And that doesn't mean this is a 3-person stable. There could be more people in here. It could be an NXT version of the NWO, which honestly would also be a pretty cool thing to watch. So now, folks, I want to go to the Twitter poll and check out what you guys thought about this. Remember, that's Twitter, Byte That Cast. And overwhelmingly, 75% of you gave NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 a 4 out of 4, stating it was great, followed by 13% at 3 out of 4. Only 4% of you said it was a boring show. So I'm very happy that this is how we really kick off SummerSlam weekend. Tomorrow we have a 20-hour show, which Ryan has to do at least a 4-hour review of to really make up for that. And now I just really want to close up by thanking you guys and reading a couple of the things in the chat of where is this going to lead. Unfortunately, in the podcast, we don't really have a lot of time to talk about NXT. So in these reviews, I like to sort of integrate that, like just a look at NXT quickly to really get that context. And then we can sort of go back, from takeover to takeover and talk about all of that. And it says, when Ember Moon was going up the ramp, it was a very final farewell type of vibe. So I guess TJ Kinder, who's a longtime supporter, I guess you're speculating that maybe it's not Asuka that gets called up eventually, but Ember Moon. And that would be a scenario as well. It doesn't always have to be that when you become champion, when you lose the championship afterwards, you get called up. It could be you don't win the championship and you get called up. I mean, Carmella was never NXT Women's Champion. A bunch of people were never the champion in NXT. They lost, and then they got called up. So honestly, I think that's better, because if you're just going to have her lose to Asuka again, possibly at another TakeOver event or at a random TakeOver NXT show on Wednesdays, call her up. Get her anywhere else. And I'm seeing people in the chat giving the show a 3 out of 4 with a trademark, because that is our patented Twitter poll. And the last thing I want to bring up here is Asuka gets called up, undefeated tournament for vacant championship. This is from No Holds Barred. That's another thing I was actually thinking about. Like, let's not forget that Paige got called up to the main roster while she was still NXT champion, women's champion. Kevin Owens went to the main roster, still NXT champion. Like, he wasn't officially part of the roster, right? He was the NXT guy on Raw, but he was still champion while that was happening. It would be really badass if Asuka just said, hey, this happened, because throughout history, 100 years can go by, and you can always go back to stating Asuka never lost the NXT championship. She can do whatever she wants in the main roster. She was always untouchable. And how often can you have a story like that? You have your Undertaker, and then right after Undertaker, you have Asuka. And so that would not be a bad thing for her to do. So, folks, I want to thank you so much. I just want to give you a quick update on everything that's happening right now on the channel and on Byte That Plus. You can check out an excellent discussion that we had about TV shows, how TV shows have evolved and the WWE has maybe not. And even taking that into this conversation, it is ironic how we had that conversation, yet look at here. Here you had character development where you bring in 3 brand new guys, and then you establish something. You establish things are going to change while things are already changing, because you have the NXT originals. You have your No Way Jose. You have your Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. I know they're like independent guys going into NXT, but they've been in NXT for a while, right? You have your Authors of Pain. You have your Sanity. And then in the middle, you have the crop that is your Cassius, who recently came back, your Drew McIntyre, your Bobby Roode, your Roderick Strong. And now you have yet another batch of more independent guys coming in, but they are attacking the guys that just came in. So I appreciate that, because now it's like a challenge. It's a battle for who's going to be at the very top of the food chain. And I'm not sure how this is going to really unfold. What I'm hoping will happen is that they will have some of these NXT original guys involved, because Otherwise, it sort of goes back to one of my main complaints about NXT throughout the little past year or so, which is don't just focus on your Samoa Joes, your Finn Balor's, your Nakamura. You can build up an Oye Jose. I know I bring up his name a lot because I feel like that would be a really nice story. Like this guy who had a funny character gimmick, I want him to become NXT champion. I want Johnny Gargano to become NXT champion because if he goes up to the main roster, he's going to be limited to 205 Live. You look at Johnny Gargano, I love Johnny Gargano. And I made the Daniel Bryan comparison for a reason. I think that Daniel Bryan, if he was in there today, he would be in 205 Live. No questions about it. I think that if Johnny Gargano gets called up, that would be what happens. So at least make him NXT champion. So it's like he gets called up and you kind of justify him like not being a cruiserweight, yet he totally looks like a cruiserweight. And the other option, as one of our Patron supporters, Overcooked Bacon, just wrote, Superstar Shakeup. There were rumors about that about a month ago that they were thinking about shaking things up again. And honestly, that would not be too bad. There's yet another accompanying rumor about maybe bringing in a couple of WWE guys back down to NXT. And something I truly liked about this show was how throughout all of it, they were stating NXT Homecoming. You had Sasha Banks, Carmella, Nakamura, Samoa Joe, Kalisto, because, hey, Kalisto, people actually liked him in NXT. All these guys came back, and you could appreciate that, right? You even had a Big E in the pre-show panel, and that was awesome. Just Big E going like, hey, man, this is just something cool. Or should Johnny Gargano be the Tommy Dreamer of NXT? I totally get what you're saying. I think he would need to like develop a gut, and I think Johnny Gargano has actually gotten himself into better shape. That, and he has not post-naked on the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness. That totally got canceled, and it shouldn't have. But then again, hey, this is how I'm going to leave it. WWE, if you're going to cut the pyro off, I get it. You got to cut costs down and all that. Can you like not have LED pyro for almas? That is like the lamest thing I've seen in a while. Because almas, you were used to like he comes out, he does the whole get on his knees and then looks up and then the pyro goes off. So I'm thinking it's TakeOver. He's taken a while to do that. But then when he does it, it's just the LED pyro. The camera doesn't even change. It's like, what are you really doing here, man? You want to do the pyro without doing the pyro. Like, don't half-ass it. Then just don't do it at all. Change his entrance if you have to, but do something like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been my review of NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3. If you're checking out the video archive on YouTube, definitely comment. Even if you're live and you want your contributions to be permanently embedded into this video, comment on the archive. If you're listening to us on Byte That Plus, you can send us an email to bytethatcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about that show. You can also tweet us at Twitter of Byte That Cast. And if you want to support us directly, like Overcooked Bacon, like so many of the awesome people that I will list right now, if you want to be an Oliver Batista, a Dominic Diaz, an Ashley Hutson, a Barney Johnson, Elmin Kurtovic, Kevin Lafleur, Paul Lobban, Tony Meier, Bo Seagrist, Nicole Tirado, True Prince of Pro, Liam Vincent, Derek Wilson, Joe Windingland, Overcooked Bacon, Peter D331, or Amir Warwar, who are some of our lovely gold patrons. You can head on over to patreon.com/bytethat. And by becoming a supporter on Patreon, depending on the perk, you get lifetime access to a Discord channel. Even if you back out, even if you want to support us for just a month, as a thank you from us to you, you can hang out with us there. Keith is going to be off the podcast for a little while, but he's still hanging out on the Discord. So oddly enough, Keith is temporarily a Patreon exclusive perk. Yeah, that's the thing right now. So you can get early access to a ton of videos. You can actually gain access to a Byte That commentary series where right now we have the first one, which is a commentary track for Bad Blood 2004, which is the first pay-per-view that the three of us checked out live at the same time. That's where all the friendship began. You get a bunch of different perks, and you really get to support us. You get exclusive updates. So once again, that's patreon.com/bytethat. Thank you for watching and listening. Drop a review on iTunes for either one of our podcast platforms. Help us climb up those podcasting ranks. Stay tuned for Ryan's SummerSlam review tomorrow. Love all of you awesome folks. And until next time, thank you for watching and listening. And we'll be back with a lot more right here on Byte That, including a 30-hour review of SummerSlam.